Welcome back to Whatever You Need, the channel where we dive beyond the surface of celebrity news and explore the deeper stories unfolding in the shadows of the Turkish entertainment world. Before we begin today's emotional and mysterious journey, don't forget to subscribe, click the join button to support our channel, and tap that like button. Share your thoughts in the comments, too. Your voice shapes the stories we tell. Now, let's step quietly into the world of Hazal Subaşı, a world formed as much by silence as by light. In an industry driven by visibility, Hazal Subaşı has done something remarkably rare. She vanished slowly, deliberately, and with a kind of grace that made her absence as captivating as her most intense performances. Months have passed without the usual constellation of premieres, launches, interviews, or red carpet appearances. Yet somehow, the fascination surrounding her has only sharpened, as if the public, deprived of habitual access, began listening more closely, waiting for even the faintest echo of her presence. For years, Hazal was a steady pulse in the rhythm of Turkish television drama. Viewers felt they knew her, or at least believed they could sense the boundaries of her world even while she preserved a fiercely guarded personal sphere. And then, in what felt like a soft but decisive gesture, she pulled away. Not with a dramatic announcement. Not with a farewell. Merely through a gradual quieting, a gentle dissolving of her public outline. Appearances became infrequent. Statements disappeared. The bright tempo of celebrity life dulled into an intentional hush. But the allure did not weaken, quite the opposite. The distance created its own gravitational pull. It awakened curiosity, longing, and a renewed hunger for any sign that might slip through the silence. And then, without warning, it arrived. Before we go deeper, a small reminder. If you enjoy thoughtful, layered storytelling like this, make sure to subscribe to Whatever You Need, click join to support our work, and tell us in the comments what you think about Hazal's subtle return. The signal was neither an interview nor a carefully curated promotional photograph. It was a fragment, a single image, cropped in a way that felt almost accidental. A portion of her face, the curve of a cheek illuminated by gentle light, the faint suggestion of emotion that cannot be fully named. It looked less like a crafted public offering and more like an intimate moment that drifted outward, unprotected, into the public tide. The effect was instant, like a current passing through thousands of waiting hands. Comments surged. Interpretations expanded. Speculation began weaving itself with astonishing speed. A partial face became a symbol. A symbol became a message. A message became a mystery large enough to fill the silence she had constructed. It was as if she had cracked open a door, only slightly, only enough to let a ribbon of light escape, but the audience responded as though a long-locked room had been thrown wide open. That fragment didn't merely break the quiet, it redefined the terrain of conversation. Many asked the same question, why now? Why choose this moment, after so many months of absence, to appear oh so slightly in the public eye? That question grew louder when another memory surfaced, one not from Hazal but from Erkan Meriç, whose earlier post had lingered in the digital world like a beautiful unresolved note. His image, crisp and atmospheric, bore an uncanny resemblance to the aesthetic that once surrounded Hazal, soft shadows, clean lines, and a stillness shaped like longing. Fans couldn't help connecting the dots. Some wondered aloud. Was this merely coincidence? Or was Erkan echoing her style intentionally, creating an unspoken bridge? Was the timing accidental, or was it meaningful? A debate unfolded with surprising tenderness. For some, Erkan's image struck them as a tribute, an artist speaking in visual poetry to someone who had stepped out of the spotlight. Others believed it was an invitation, a gesture encouraging her to return, or perhaps acknowledging a bond that never fully dissolved even after life pulled them apart. A third group insisted it was simply shared aesthetics between two people shaped by similar creative worlds. No matter the interpretation, their chemistry, so carefully measured in the past, so rarely performed for public consumption, refused to dissipate. It lingered not as gossip but as a question suspended in the air. A question that neither of them seemed willing to answer aloud. Support our channel whatever you need for more deep dives like this. Subscribe, hit the like button, and consider joining our members-only community to help us continue producing thoughtful, long-form stories. What makes Hazal's reemergence even more striking is how small, how quiet, how deliberately incomplete it is. She did not step onto a red carpet. She did not appear at a gala or offer insights in a magazine spread. She offered instead something fragile, almost whispered, a reminder that stars are not machines dispensing content, but people who sometimes seek refuge in the spaces away from public appetite. Journalists are scrambling for answers, but there is nothing to grasp except this lone frame. Fans construct entire narratives from the smallest details, an angle of light, a flick of hair, the way her eyes seem to turn halfway towards something unseen. But Hazal remains anchored behind the curtain she pulled months ago, sharing fragments only when she chooses, and never enough to satisfy the hunger that grows in her absence. And that is precisely why the reaction has been so powerful. In a world saturated with constant updates, Hazal's restraint feels almost radical. It transforms the smallest glimpse into a seismic event. Adding to the intrigue is the memory of Erkan's earlier post, which suddenly seems reborn under a new light. His photograph, structured, elegant, balanced, mirrors the minimalism of the image Hazal released. For those who observed their careers side by side, the resemblance felt intimate, perhaps even deliberate. But interpretation becomes its own kind of performance. It is impossible to know whether these images are in dialogue or merely running parallel by chance. Yet the collective imagination refuses to separate them. Their names continue to orbit each other, carried by the inertia of shared history, on screen and off screen, spoken and unspoken. It is a paradox that fascinates the public. Two people who seem to communicate best not through words, but through the things they withhold. Are these images a duet or two solos? Are they signals to each other or signals to themselves? Are they connected, or are we connecting them because we miss the harmony they once created? No answer settles the matter. We would love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Do you think this image marks Hazal's return? Or is it simply a private moment that spiraled into a public storm? And don't forget to subscribe to whatever you need, tap the join button, and like this video to support our storytelling. What deepens the mystery further is the absence of all the usual noise that accompanies a comeback. No PR campaigns. No strategic leaks. No bold declarations. If scripts are being read, no one outside her closest circle knows. If roles are being considered, the conversations are happening far from public ears. If emotions are being revisited, whether those tied to Erkan or tied to herself, they remain sealed behind closed doors. And yet, the pulse of speculation grows stronger. Some fans have already begun comparing the lighting in both images, overlaying them in collages, analyzing their visual rhythm like detectives studying an encrypted message. Others simply embrace the beauty of the ambiguity, cherishing the quietness of two people who have always seemed to prefer communicating in gestures rather than paragraphs. Time will answer what none of us can. Will Hazal step a little more into the light? Will another hint arrive, a role, a frame, a sentence? Or will this half-seen image remain a solitary spark, glowing against the backdrop of her chosen silence? For now, the story lives in the space between absence and return, between her image and Erkan's, between what we see and what we wish were true. And that space, tender, unresolved, luminous, is where fascination always grows the strongest. Thank you for joining us today on Whatever You Need. Make sure to subscribe, like, leave a comment, and tap join if you want to support our long-form investigative stories. Tell us, do you feel Hazal is preparing a comeback, or simply protecting her peace? Until the next whisper becomes a headline, we'll be here, bringing you whatever you need.